Admittedly, I played the first game on the PS2, cause I ain't sure if it came out on PC. But despite that, I remember enjoying its story. The gameplay was alright, especially when compared to the demo of the first game. That I played a lot, just to mess around with the physics and stormtroopers. Now that I actually got to play The Force Unleashed 2 for the PC, I can finally fully, and even better, experience the first one's gameplay. If you didn't play the first game, then chances are you have to catch up a little on what happened. It isn't entirely necessary, but it is if you want to understand why there is a clone of the first game's main character, Starkiller. Turns out though that the clone has the original's memories and can't act out the will of Vader, and is thus deemed worthless to him. So what does he do? He of course escapes, and by escape I mean jumps down a large height and blows everything up and steals Vader's fighter, and all in order to join up with his love from the first game. They really could have probably done much better with the story if the game was longer, but it's interesting enough to see you through to the end. Like already mentioned, the only taste of the first game's actual gameplay I got was from the demo. The game I played was on the PS2, sad but true. But thanks to Force Unleashed 2's quick release of the PC version, I had the joys of toying with the stormtroopers and the game's physics. The basic gameplay is essentially hack and slash with a little bit of platforming thrown in. The point of the first game and this one is to feel like a badass, which I did in both cases. The game's gameplay, for me at least, is superb. Most reviewers say it gets boring to kill the stormtroopers after a while. I say fuck that. I had a great time toying with the troopers and using the physics. Hell, most of the time when I died it was cause I was trying to toy with them. And luckily, the PC game's controls are spot on. I don't have a single complaint really about them, which for this kind of game is really good. The game offers the player lots of moves and a rather decent enemy variety, though they do reuse a lot of the same stuff over and over, and especially the takedown moves for the larger enemies repeat, meaning that you've seen the animation once, you'll see it over and over. Luckily though, the quick time events don't usually require a lot of button pushing this time around. The game has a rather large and fun variety of moves. During your play for killing enemies and destroying objects, you get force points, which you can spend on anything in the upgrade menu. One of my most favorite powers was Mind Trick, where I can simply trick multiple enemies to attack each other, which was always fun to watch. Later on in the game proves to be a very useful power, at least to me anyways. A rather new addition are the lightsaber crystals. In the last game they were merely just for looks. In this one each has a specific effect. You can even customize which combinations you want, or have two of the same since you have two lightsabers. Another cool new ability is the Force Fury ability, which essentially makes you completely invulnerable and jacks up all your powers to over 9,000. And yes, I just made that joke, I apologize. For the most part of the game, which also increased enjoyment for myself really, I played with the Guybrush Threepkiller skin from Monkey Island. You can imagine how the final boss battle with Vader went.
You fight like a dairy farmer.
How appropriate! You fight like a cow. Though the game's one essential problem is its length. The game would have been really great if they had given it a longer campaign, which is the game's essential problem. And not to mention, it can feel too easy at times, so it's recommended to play on the harder difficulty setting. For completionists and or collectors, the game also has challenges that unlock hidden cinematics, costumes, and the like. They're really fun, but also rather short. But they definitely are challenging. The game looks great and usually plays great. When I was recording though, the frame rate dropped heavily, but off camera the frame rate is rather smooth. Usually. The game suffers a decent amount of slowdowns. The game's in-game cinematics can get really choppy up to the point where the eyes appeared before the model, but then again, maybe it's just my computer, who knows. But it was still good enough to see Guybrush trying to be all serious. The small amount of locations is really nicely designed, one of my favorites being the Hanging City level. The game's pre-rendered cinematics though are excellent, and so is the music and voice acting in the game. This is a Star Wars game after all. But in general the graphics are nice, but not exactly the best running. But then again, it might have just been my computer. Overall, this game is recommendable, but it's definitely not worth the $60 price tag that's currently attached to it. While the gameplay holds up for the most part, the story fell a bit short because of the relatively small length of the game's campaign, and not that much variety in environments. The game's worth it as a rent, or if you plan on buying it for a PC, get it at a much lower price. It's a fun game, but it just didn't deliver well enough on its campaign. Till next time.